Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, and it's time for another episode of What's the Plan? And with us, as always, on What's the Plan is Barton Brierley, Community Development Director. Barton, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mark?
Doing well. Apparently, I didn't get the memo about Casual Fridays, so but that's okay. As the host, I guess I should have a tie on every time, right?
Yeah, this is our official department T-shirt.
Yeah.
Shirt. So.
Well, I have one. It says City Manager's Office or Public Information. I don't know. I don't wear it. I never wear it. It's another story for another day why I don't. But that's beside the point. We're here to talk about what's happening in community development. And as always, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
There's a ton. There's a long list of projects we're working on, yes.
You know, it wasn't long ago where you guys were down there kind of looking at each other going, now what? But those days are long gone, aren't they?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Keep people busy, keep things happening in our city. For example, the Farm at Alamo Creek.
Yes.
Big project coming up. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, that's a project that's planned development that's located east of Leisuretown Road, just north of Elmira and south of Hawkins Road. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a project. They're proposing 768 homes. They're going to do some duets on that, which is an interesting feature that we haven't had a lot. We really encourage them to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say we don't have too many of those types of homes. A duet is like a mirror image of a home next to each other, right?
It's a duplex.
Okay.
But you can own half of it. That's what a duet is.
Right.
There's a little convenience commercial area in it, and the park is an exciting feature of that. There's a community park there. Part of that will be the Play for All park that is, well, I'm sure a lot of people in the community have heard about that. It'll be a park for children of all abilities in there. There's trails and a agricultural buffer and some other features that we hope they'll make a really nice project.
Now, I know you gave us the streets, but that's like right above Brighton Landing, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. And the Play for All Park, very cool concept that there are some cities that have them, and we're going to have one too.
Yes, and this is actually being built fully through private donations and private efforts. So there's been fundraising events to raise money for that, and it'll be a park for, like it says, children of all abilities, so there'll be a playground there that will be accessible if you're in a wheelchair. So special equipment that, like a swing that you can roll a wheelchair on.
Oh, cool.
Things like that. There'll be two Challenger League ball fields in there so that you can play t-ball, and again, you could go around the bases in your wheelchair or other device, and it's really a very exciting project.
Excellent. Sounds good. I know Tom and his group are very involved in it, so we're looking forward to seeing that part come together.
Yes.
So where are we at in the process?
Well, so we have to do what's called an environmental impact report for that. So we've prepared the draft of that, and that's gone through the public comment period, and right now we're responding to the public comments, and we're hoping for a public hearing on that this summer.
Okay, good. And then?
And then it's got to go to the Planning Commission and then the City Council, and then the property is actually still outside the city limits. So the next step would be to go to the Local Agency Formation Commission to annex the property.
LAFCO.
Yes.
Lots of laughs at LAFCO.
Yes.
Huh? Oh, okay, good. I might check out that meeting then.
Yes.
I love laughing. All right, well, that's moving along. So they might get started on building the homes in the park probably in the fall, maybe, or would they wait until next spring?
It'll be next spring.
Next spring?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, now, another one that's kind of a biggie is the downtown specific plan.
Yes.
Sounds very official and governmentese. Tell us what a downtown specific plan is and what's going to happen in our downtown specific plan.
Well, it's generally a plan to enhance and improve downtown, make it a destination, and improve the vitality of it, improve the streetscape, bring more businesses there, make it an attractive place for the community to gather.
And we got a grant to do this.
We did. We actually got 2 grants, over $500,000 in grants, which is really exciting to do that. And so,
is there a public information element? I might be able to carve a little grant money. No? Oh.
Well, we definitely will be involving the public because anytime we talk about downtown, there's lots of interest, a lot of good ideas. A lot of people want to be involved, so we will have a lot of involvement. But some of the things we want to work with on the plan is just how you get to downtown. How can you get there on a bike? How can you get there walking? Improve the pedestrian atmosphere. Improve the business mix there. One of the issues is there isn't a lot of retail, and we want to increase retail in there and other customer-oriented uses. Want to improve the streetscape, just the appearance of what you see when you walk down the street. Look for opportunities for art. Look at the basics of zoning, just what uses are allowed, design standards if people are building new buildings or upgrading existing ones. And then infrastructure is a big deal. What's underneath the land? How do we have enough sewer and water and parking and all those other important things for infrastructure?
You said the P word.
I did, and I can say the P word because the city's actually building another parking lot in downtown. If you look downtown, there's another parking lot
right across from the McBride Senior Center. Stretches across, fills one whole block there. So.
Yes.
That'll be good. Another 40 or 50 more spots for parking downtown.
Yes, yeah.
And like close to downtown, too.
Yes.
Not one of those, we built a lot. You got to take a shuttle to get there. Not the case.
Yeah. And one thing for people to understand, when you're in a downtown atmosphere, part of the charm is that you can see a lot of buildings, you can see a lot of people, it's very pedestrian friendly. When you put too much parking in the middle of it, you don't want to walk around a parking lot.
Right.
You want to walk around and see businesses and parks. And so naturally you're always going to be tight on parking, but there really is a lot of parking available downtown.
Yes, there is. It's funny, I've been involved with taking investors and brokers on tours, and most recently, and we always end up downtown, and to a person, they always say, I had no idea that Vacaville had such a nice downtown. So we see lots of opportunities for improvement. People who are new to Vacaville think it's fantastic as it is. So we're at a good starting point.
Yes,
and we can
absolutely.
only get better and better. So this will be good. I'm excited about this one. I think it gives us a lot of opportunities to take what I think is a great downtown and make it even better.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So my notes say to ask you about mixed-use zoning, and I have no idea where we're going with that one. So take it away, boss.
So traditionally in zoning, you have commercial areas, you have industrial areas, and you have residential areas.
Right.
Traditionally, a lot of cities weren't built that way. They were built with, shops on the ground floor, residences upstairs, and the uses are closer together. And that has a lot of advantage if you can, go downstairs and get your coffee in the morning, or if your job is, just in the same building or close by, or if you can get, your loaf of bread very close by. And so there's been more of a trend to doing mixed-use zoning, which is zoning that allows both residences and these sort of commercial and office and service uses together. And the city, in their general plan, actually designated several areas for mixed-use zoning. And so we did the general plan. Now what we needed to do is actually create the zoning ordinance that says what's allowed in a mixed-use area. And it's kind of complicated because you're saying what's allowed. Well, a lot more uses than in most zones, and a lot more design features. For example, we want to do, require less parking because if you can walk everywhere, then you don't need to drive as far, and so things like that to really encourage a more dense area. So we're creating a mixed-use zoning ordinance. We expect to take it to the Planning Commission this summer for them to look at.
So let me ask you a question. When I was a journalism student, we had to take the history of journalism. So when you were in college, did you take the history of community development and planning, or is that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and I'll tell you there's a reason why. Why I'm asking you this, because if you grow up in a big city, right? I grew up in San Francisco. The idea of a store on the bottom and then housing on top is not anything new.
Right,
I mean, there were places like that in my neighborhood. You mentioned, get a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. I would walk down the street in my neighborhood. There was the corner grocery store, and the guy who owned it lived upstairs. And then there were apartments around it. And then I'd walk back home with my bread and milk, and we talk about it here, and it seems like it's a struggle to get people to understand what we're talking about.
Yes.
I mean, this has been around for a long time, hasn't it?
It has. When I was a kid, the big thing was popsicles. A popsicle was 2 cents, and you could walk down to the little store at the corner, which was very close, and get a popsicle for 2 cents. And
Right.
And we did that all the time. And so, yeah, it is going back to a concept that really has worked for centuries and centuries in cities.
Yeah. 2 cents for a popsicle, huh?
Yes.
You're a lot older than I thought you were, Barton. Holy cow. I mean, I remember when gum was a penny a piece.
So, yeah, it was 2 cents for a popsicle, or it was 5 cents for a drumstick. We always tried to save our pennies for the drumstick. And, we'd go to the store there, and you can get a few groceries there, and we walked a lot.
Right. I mean, when I was a kid, we walked everywhere. We rode our bike or walked. That was it. And there was a bus stop, but you never took the bus. The bus was for going to school or, downtown or the ball game or something. Big trip, right? Well, good. I'm glad to see that we're working to bring that kind of building and activity to our city. I know the East Main District, that's a perfect example of mixed use, right?
Yes, exactly. That's the whole idea there. You're going to have shops and housing, and there's going to be restaurants there. And so, you can live there and go get dinner and hang out.
Good. It's exciting. I know both millennials and retirees want that kind of housing, that kind of living situation, Tired of driving. Tired of, millennials because they're on the move, right? They're not going to stay anywhere for a long period of time. Older people, because they are going to stay. They're done, but they're done driving. They're done commuting. They're done hassling with all that stuff. They just want to get up, get the paper, cup of coffee, relax, take a walk, go back to their house, whatever.
Yes.
All right, good. Glad it's coming. And another biggie is the Development Code update. And talk about centuries old. That might be the case with us, some of our development codes. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, and this is an exciting project that we're going to do beginning next year, is to do a total update to our development code. So, the development code is really our standards for how development happens. So it includes the zoning ordinance of what uses are allowed in different parts of the city. It includes all the development standards for development, so how much parking you need, what your buildings need to look like, what the setbacks are. It includes the subdivision ordinance and how you subdivide things and create new roads and create new lots. And so it's an old ordinance. It's kind of like your uncle's house where it was grandma's house, and then your uncle added on, and then your cousins live there now, and they've added on. And it's just kind of been added on over years, and not everything really fits together. So we want to do a comprehensive update and to really make everything consistent. But the big thing is we want to make it more friendly and really get us the kinds of developments that we want and be more direct there. So streamlining the processes, looking at how we process, what needs to go through what kind of review, resolve some inconsistencies there.
Yeah, it's not as easy as you might think. One of my big lines was, well, heck, we wrote the code. Can't we just change the code? Not that easy, is it?
It's not, because you really have to look at kind of every possible situation and make sure that things are clear, make sure that they make sense, and that they really get what you want. And it's really a challenge.
Plus, going back to what you said about this is not something that we just came up with. It started, back in 1890, 92, and it's been moving forward ever since. Added on, changed, tweaked, and we're at a point now where it's cumbersome almost. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, because we're always looking at things like, well, what did that mean, or what did they really mean when they used that? And some of the trends have changed, some terms have changed, and so it does get cumbersome sometimes. So we're looking at ways of making it more direct so that if somebody wants to do something, it's clear what they can do, it's clear what our standards are, and when we're clear, then they have a good picture, and it can be a very smooth and simple process.
Yeah, and I would imagine when it's clear, then they can bring in plans that you can look at and say, good to go, as opposed to, well, there's some issues and cause 18 revisions, and time is money, and
right, yes.
It's not good for them, it's not good for us.
Exactly, yes.
So Good. All right. Well, that's kind of a big deal. I mean, how big is our? If you could
That-
put our code book on the table, it'd probably be like the New York phone book.
Yeah, it's about that. Yes.
So that's a lot of work. Who's
It's a
going to
huge-
do that?
Well, we're going to hire a consultant to do
Oh,
it,
okay.
and we'll have project manager, and we'll.
And you guys will be clearly heavily involved in this.
Yes, and there'll be lots of chances for public input because there's a lot of policy sort of decisions when you change the words, change processes,
Right,
things
right,
like that. So
right,
it's going to be a major undertaking for us.
Good, good. Well, that's something to look forward to in the coming year. Well, that's part of Measure M. We're using some Measure M funds for that, aren't we? Or-
Yeah, we did. And the reason why is the council and the community really saw this as an investment. That if we can make clearer, more direct processes and attract more businesses and more development, that will generate more
Right.
revenues and income and economic development for the city, that it would pay it back. And so was really the strategic thinking of it. This was a good way to really invest in our community and make a big return.
Right. We're going to spend a few dollars that will hopefully help us make even more dollars in return.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Excellent. Good deal. All right. So that's next year. Anything else going on in community development? Not that this is not enough, but
I've got
you got the regular house plans and all that other good stuff, right?
Yes, yeah, a lot. Still a lot of interest in industrial development in the community. Several housing projects kind of working their way through, like Brighton Landing we mentioned. They're busy and they've come in with house plans for one phase and we approved them. They're coming in with house plans for another phase. So, yeah, and a lot of projects.
And not to go too far off course here, but that's kind of how housing developments are built nowadays. I mean, the good old days, they'd come in, here's 500 houses, we're going to build this 500 home community, off we go. Now it's maybe they're going to build 500 homes, but they're going to do it in 25 phases. Is that a fair statement?
Well, they're about 100 homes, 50 to 100 homes is a typical
okay.
phase. So,
All right, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but you're right, it's not a 500 phase. You're going to do, divide it up into
Smaller
50 to 100
chunks,
homes.
but,
Is
okay,
kind of
good.
typical.
All right, good deal. So, like I said, that's a lot. You got a lot going on. You're a busy man.
Yes, definitely.
Well, then we better cut this short
All
so you
right,
can
well-
get back down to the office and get some work done. Huh?
Will do.
All right, good deal. Barton, thank you for being on the show, and thank you all for watching this episode of What's the Plan? We'll see you next time.